I did my podcast yesterday, just, echoing the fact that I wish he was going to stay. I talked about it. Just hear a little clip of what I said. Stick in it, Justin. Stay in it. Teach these liberals the lesson that they need to learn. I'm here for it. The decimation of the Liberal Party. You're going down with the ship the way that a great leader should. You're not. So that was just a clip of what I did yesterday in my episode. I guess common sense eventually prevailed, years later. But hey, so here we are. At the end of the day, we're going to get an election, so fair use of.
And a visit to India became the butt of jokes for late-night talk shows. Then there was the SNC Lavalin scandal and the resignations of Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott, along with a resurfaced photo that dominated the 2019 campaign.
Should have known better, but I didn't. And I'm really sorry.
But Trudeau's Liberals survived that campaign and a third election with minority wins. The Prime Minister led Canadians through COVID-19 and invoked the Emergencies Act that ended the Freedom Convoy. He leaves behind a legislative legacy that includes marijuana legalization, dental care. The Prime Minister says it was his fight for a better Canada that kept him in the game.
We have a democratic process that allows candidates to come forward from all across our great nation, and that Canadians can participate in the Liberal Party and hear from these prospective candidates. So I'm hoping over the next few months we'll able to, in the upcoming days, see the rules of the race, but then many will come forward to make sure that they can present their ideas on how to lead our party and country forward.
To officials down in the U.S. To make sure that we state our case, that we're a strong ally, strong friend, and we have a lot to offer the Americans. And all this would do, these tariffs, it would hurt American jobs and it would hurt Canadian jobs. There's over 9 million Americans wake up every morning to create products that get shipped up to Ontario. But we do want an in-person meeting with the Prime Minister, as long as he's Prime Minister. His main focus is not on the Liberal Party, is not on anything else. It should be the next 14 days making sure that we avoid these tariffs. And if we can't avoid these tariffs, how are the federal government going to retaliate? We have a list of how the province of Ontario can retaliate, and we're ready. We're ready to make a move.
Premier, just before the what's their story? They've picked a new leader. What are they going to Canada with? We are different, but not that much different. Kamala Harris got into a lot of trouble because she wouldn't denounce anything that Joe Biden had done. She's in a very difficult position. The new leader is going to be in the same position with 10 years of baggage and the carbon tax and all of the things that Canadians have been facing. They want to change election. So it's not impossible, but it's going to be very, very challenging. I would agree with Manley. At least they're going to be able to put forward a fresh look. I just don't know what their story is going to be.
Yeah,
for Canada to be taking a mental health day, but we would love to see Canada come back swinging with a new government. That's really the essence of our partnership.
I know people are talking about Trudeau in the way in which he handled the Liberal Party. But again, the Progressive Conservative, that's the Ontario Party. That's what they've called themselves. And my last podcast episode was saying I hope that the progressives, the conservatives who are progressives, are seeing the writing on the wall as to what's going to happen when you continue to be progressive. This is what happening because the Liberal Party is the Liberal Party now because classical liberals allow their party to be co-opted and taken over by progressives. So Doug Ford, he has shown his hand, and I'm going to do an interview specifically on that. He does not want anybody that is truly conservative. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He asked us to give him the benefit of the doubt. He asked us to forgive him for his lockstep in what Trudeau was doing. He said, folks, I got it wrong. And, he asked for forgiveness, and he want many parents like myself to have forgiven him for the hurt, the destruction, the calamity that he's done with our children's life. So we must forgive him for that. But he holds grudges for parents like myself, mothers like myself, who were advocates and telling him he was wrong. So he doesn't want us to really come in and be conservative. He just wants us to stay outside and just, always forgive him when he no longer shows himself to be conservative. Does not want people in that will keep him honest. He wants and not loyal to conservative values. So I hope progressives do take a long look at what happens to parties that go in line with this progressive movement. And this is where you would end up. Now, the conservatives are on a high note because federally, they saw the writing on the wall too when Erin O'Toole was going along with Trudeau. And they pumped the brakes. They got rid of Erin, got somebody else in the driver's seat, and returned back to being and sounding and making statements and posturing as real conservatives again. So then this is why they are in the polls. So Doug Ford is riding on the wave of what Pierre is doing, no different than him riding on the wave of what his brother did that got him into become a leader and made a lot of promises, and then he reneged on them. Doug is Doug, and I've come to definitely have my own experience. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I do my best not to judge people based on what other people warn me or tell me, because many people out there talk about me as well. And it's always shame that people think that they know me based on what somebody else has said instead of getting to interact with me and know me for themselves. So I've been there. So I always like to put myself in other shoes, and I always treat people the way I like to be treated. So I gave Doug the benefit of the doubt and allowed him to show me who he is, and allowed his interaction to be what I use as my measuring stick based on my personal interaction. And I have a personal interaction to share about. Now we're going to move on to the other points in regards to what, they were talking about the different candidates. And yes, the point is for those people that want to be the front runner that was there all alongside with what Justin's doing, please cancel yourself out, because nobody is going to be voting for the Liberal Party for any face. Let me get the fair use off of there. For any face that is a representative of what was there before. So all the faces that we've seen, or all the faces that are trying to resurrect themselves up to be the new option, right? Melanie Jolie, no, you've been Trudeau's sidekick. Anita, you're his sidekick. The answer is no. Chrystia Freeland, the answer is no. Dominique LeBlanc, the answer is no. Mark Carnegie or Carney, the answer is no. The only two faces that are going to be there is Christy Clark and this other young man there. I can't really recognize his name right now. Francois Philippe Champagne. No, you're French, and just by that we're going to say no, because we're trying to not have any separatist undercover leader coming in. So Christy Clark, based on what I'm seeing here for the contenders, is the only one that I believe that the Liberal Party should be embracing. Someone fresh, nobody who is the face of the old regime. Liberal Party, I hope you're listening to me. My last podcast, it looks it said something out in the universe. Liberal Party, if you want to be decimated, like right now, you're right at that fork in the road of having a slim chance of really build momentum, because let me tell you what you can do. You can use the leadership race to assist the new leader in getting their message out. Okay? And I believe that is what Justin is doing, because, me and Justin, we got a mental connection, right? I can put myself in his thoughts when I choose to want to. So when people say, well, the reason why Justin did this, he's allowing the new leader the platform, because we're all going to be watching this leadership race. And whoever the new leader is, they also have this time frame, this free airtime, all eyes, all eyes, all eyes and ears is on who in this leadership race. So this is the time for Christy Clark, Christy, to use this time to let Canadians get to know you. Remember, we are looking for a classical liberal. Any liberal that is coming up that is progressive, we are going to cancel you out. I am just giving you the heads up. Anybody who is part of of Justin Trudeau's regime is going to be automatically a flop. Pierre is going to decimate you because we all are going to see the same old, same old, same old. So you need a fresh face. And this fresh face has to show classical liberal roots. That is the only way you're going to have any slim chance of making any type of headway against Pierre Poilievre. Just letting you know. Because that's why many of us left the party, because it was not a classical liberal party anymore. It was a totally radical liberal party. Totally like, it's just like, I am looking at their policies, the things that they're doing, even on a provincial level. I'm like, who are you people? Who are you saying you represent? Are you crazy? But it takes people 20 and 25 to finally say, oh, this party is not what we want. Really now? I told you that 5 years ago when I left the party. 5 years ago, I told you guys, but no. You guys were riding the wave for Justin Trudeau. That's what I'm saying. Every face that has been associated with Justin Trudeau, we're going to already find you guilty because you were riding the wave to this destruction. And you did not have any spine to do anything. So if the Liberal Party wants any slim chance, I strongly suggest you go with Christy Clark or any fresh face. And I'm sorry, the other contender that is Quebec, that's like, it's just not going to work because we see you as an undercover separatist and you're going to put Quebec and Francophone and all that first, and we are Canada. I'm just letting you know. So you've already lost before you begun, okay? So Christy Clark, Christy, come fresh, come bold, and come authentic, and you better be classical liberal. Now, if you all of a sudden become classical liberal, but we have a lot of receipts, internet, online receipts showing that you're no different, then the outcome is going to be no different. All right? That is what killed Kamala. Because, listen, this is not a time to be nice. You're going to have to come out and you're going to have to criticize Justin. It is what it is. Because we all know that this is why he's leaving. So anybody coming up and trying to save he has his own mouthpiece. He's a big man. He can defend himself and defend his own record. We don't need anybody defending Justin, because anybody defends Justin, anybody that is not independent enough to be honest and tell us what we all know, but you're going to want to be a liberal gatekeeper, you're going to get the result that Justin was going to get anyways. The reason why the Conservative Party was able to do a 180 is because they got someone that said we got it wrong. They did the revolt and got rid of Aaron, sent a very strong message at the party saying this is not who we are. And they did not allow anybody that was loyal to Aaron to be the face. This is why this Michelle Rappaport, whatever her name is, in Alberta, listen, you were Aaron O'Toole bodyguard, and that is why you went to the back. You went to the back because we don't want to see your face, because you allowed him to get this far. And even Ford, when the revolt was happening, you were pressuring other conservatives to let it go and not go ahead with it. Thank God it didn't listen to you. So whoever is going to be the new Liberal Party leader and running for the Liberal Party, you have to come out guns blazing and stand and saying, yes, I was looking from a distance, I was looking from afar, and I was saying that we're going in the wrong direction. I totally see why Canadians just saying no, because I was also saying no, and I am a loyal liberal. That is why I was saying no, because this is not our classical values. You got to come out guns blazing. Anything less, you're going to flop. And anybody you put in front of us that is from the Pierre Pierre Trudeau, my lord. From the Justin Trudeau regime, you're going to get the same results. So don't waste our time and don't waste your time. You have a small window of hope. Don't blow it. That's all I got to say. Listen to me, don't listen to me, whatever. But I'm letting you know, I know a thing or two. You might not know me, but I know a thing or two about what is happening. And you not knowing me doesn't mean that I don't know what's happening. That's all I got to say. Now, Pierre Poilievre is going to use this time to make sure that he's also in front of viewers and remind us that every one of you liberals allowed this to happen. For over 5 years, you allowed this to happen. He's going to do it. He's been successful. Now, he also have his own internal issues with 17 MPs that came out and told all of us the way in which he is managing and being authoritarian and his own version of authoritarian in not allowing them to be able to voice approval for things that their writing is in support of. That gets me red flags. Any leader that is that micromanaging and that authoritarian, that has that authoritarian vibe to them, I always have red flags, because every elected member should be autonomous because they're representing their writing, and no leader should tie any MP's hands or muzzle an MP, because that tells me you're looking for people to be loyal to you and not to the people that elected them. And I always will have a red flag with that. It's very important for you to have people around you who are going to have different opinion, because that keeps you in line and keeps you truly, as a leader, being aware of what concerns are in every writing. Not your agenda. Does your agenda make sense to someone in the east, someone in the west, someone central? And if not, allow them to tell you what doesn't make sense so you can tweak it so that you truly represent and your agenda is addressing everyone's concern as best as possible. I know you can't please everyone. However, when you shut down everyone, we're going to have a problem, because that's no different than anything that Justin did in his way in which he governed this party. It was about his party, his agenda, and not what was in the best interest of Canadians that he say he represent. So Pierre, I strongly encourage you to be very mindful and make sure that you have a gauge on that. I do understand why you're doing it, because you didn't want to give the Liberals any credit, and I get why you're doing it, but be very careful, and that's why I'm watching you, because that could be a quick slippery slope into the same style of governing where it's about you, and we have concerns. We will always have concerns about that. So we get it. We understand why you're doing it, and we're watching you, because that's a red flag if you're not able to pull back now and allow your MPs to be autonomous. That's all I got to say. And then they were also talking, yes, obviously we heard about Trudeau, and they gave you the rundown about his legacy and yada, 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 and all of that stuff. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because everybody said he has to go, and the only reason why they pushed him out is because they also know that we were saying we want him to stay. It was a win-win for us. It's a win if he leaves, a win if he stays, because at the end of the day, there is plans to decimate you. So you have this opportunity. Let me tell you, we always, there's always that moment in an event where one choice could truly be the trajectory that changes the outcome. Right now, you're at the cusp. You're right at the cusp. And if you go to the door on the left or the door on the right, there is a different outcome. The trajectory, if you put any familiar faces that are part of Justin Trudeau, there is an outcome that is just predictable, and there's no way you're going to avoid it. No way. And if you pick the other door, the right door, the correct door, you can actually, you listen, it's possible. Anything is possible when you do the right thing. Trust me. And you know that too. Anything is possible if you do the right thing. We do want to have a balanced government. And the reason why Pierre Poilievre will have a majority is because Canadians are fed up. And at the same time, many of us are also saying we're watching Pierre, because he makes a lot of promises. He denounced a lot of things. And we're all saying, okay, well, let's see. However, if he has a majority, then there are no checks and balances, and we will be stuck for the next 4 years with whatever is happening. And trust me, the next 4 years is crucial. So, for those of us, like myself, whose roots have always been conservative, and classical liberals to an extent also share many similar conservative values and principles, right now, I would still say anything is possible. It is a tall order, but anything is possible. And I am loyal to principles, and whoever is loyal to the same principles that align with the values that are conservative, and conservative just means the conservation, the preservation of values that is about family, entrepreneurship, small government, fiscal responsible. We do look out for each other, yes, to an extent, never to the detriment of yourself, because who does that? Which reasonable household will neglect them for, come on, because that's not even biblical and scripture. That's not. You are supposed to make sure that yours is taken care of so that you can now assist in your overflow. You cannot assist from a depleted cup when there's nothing in it, but you're still finding a way to give. That's demonic. The people that are your responsibility should not be suffering while you give for people that are not connected to you. They're not connected to you. They're connected to another government who is their responsibility. Now, yes, we all look out for each other and we're all connected as humanity. Yes, I do get that universal concept. And the local reality is you cannot help internationally if domestically you are a havoc. You can't even tell where your next meal is coming from, but you're writing blank checks to feed others, and your own people right here are starving, homeless, overdose, mental health issues that are making them unalive themselves, children that have lost all sense of care for life. Like, come on, we got to clean up inside. So classical liberalism needs to be great again. And the conservatives need to continue to be great again and do not go progressive. You see what happens? Now, if both of you are moving on both cylinders and you both are running on both cylinders, this country is going to be the badass that it always has been. When we have two functioning legs of a body operating on full force. On full force, it is possible. But whenever one is more than the other, just think about a body. If you have your left side much more powerful than the right side, you're disabled. If your lower half body is more stronger than your upper body, you're unbalanced. Your upper body is huge, but your lower body is like stringy. Come on now. You have to have balance in your body. No different if your mental health is amazing, but physically you're sick, but you're positive in the way you're thinking. Come on now. And the opposite isn't true. You're physically fit. You can do a triathlon, but mentally you keep beating up on yourself. You would be physically fit and unaliving yourself. It's just, you have to be balanced. You have to be balanced. So we do want a government where we have classical liberalism being great again and overtaking this liberal shell party and getting rid of all these progressive liberals and kicking them out. And you know what? If that is the outcome of this, and if Christy Clark takes over, and let's say she is a classical liberal, I would strongly recommend that Christy Clark get rid of all of those that are not classical liberals. Do not have them on your cabinet. Now, it's for the citizens in ridings to elect them again. I would strongly recommend that every face that represented Trudeau, that we do not have them return. So that might mean, Christy, that the Liberal Party is going to be decimated. But you can rise again if you make the Liberal Party returning to its original classical principled values. It can rise again. And then we can have balance. Because, listen, Pierre Poilievre said that in his interview with Jordan Peterson, I believe his name is, not Patterson, but Peterson. And he did that interview, and Jordan Peterson asked him, what is it that he would have to protect him for him not to fall prey to that temptation. And I really do respect the questioning that Jordan did ask Pierre. It was very straightforward and very frank, and I do appreciate that. It was good for someone to come straight and ask him those questions. And he said out of his mouth, it's tempting. He's like, he's like, I wouldn't say he said it's tempting. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but any of you that watched the interview with Jordan Peterson and Pierre Poilievre interview, you would remember that he said that, and Jordan asked him that question, right? Who is it that he has around him? How is he going to make sure that he doesn't fall prey to those temptations, right? And he said, it's something that he has to be aware of, because he said it is tempting, right? And I do appreciate him saying that. And in him saying that, he's being honest. When you have so much power and you don't have, fear, just like Doug Ford has this fear of instability, of invincibility, he is going to believe that, yeah, he's untouchable, but nobody is untouchable. Nobody is untouchable. So that's all I would have to say, is that we ensure that we do have a balance, just for the sake of keeping Pierre honest, not allowing the power to get to his head, because humans are fickle, okay? And it's just in his own best interest, and I believe he would appreciate this too, to have those guardrails, as we mentioned, that would keep him outside and away from temptation's door of allowing the power to get to him, right? So this is the interview here that he did with Jordan Peterson. It is there, right? It's about 2 hours and something, but take a look. He's candid, he's honest. It's and well, as honest as he can be, but he was human. And that's all we could ask for. And because we know he's human, we know what happens when a human being has total power. It is very intoxicating. It is just not something I think we as humanity should make anybody have. Okay. So yeah. All right. So let's hope that the Liberal Party gets a leader who's a classical liberal. Let classical liberalism be great again. Just that's for the sake of making sure that we have checks and balance. We have a balance in Parliament, and we allow Pierre Poilievre to govern. I would say, you know what, he's earned the right to be there because he has not gotten up off of Justin, right? I'm just saying, for the Liberal Party, you have the ability right now. There is still some hope of you salvaging the party. I'm not saying you're gonna win. What I'm saying is you have an opportunity to not have it be decimated, and it would be destroyed without no inkling of return if you pick a leader that is from Justin Trudeau's regime. You have a window of opportunity to save what you can, to an extent that you can rebuild sooner rather than, I would say, never, but never is too definite. But trust me, it'll be a long time before you see the light of day again if you do not put a fresh face. And that fresh face has to be someone that is a classical liberal, not a progressive liberal. We've seen what that's done. We say no thank you. And it's also a clarion call to conservatives who are playing around with this progressiveness, Doug Ford and the Ontario PC Party. This is your warning. So this is Lady O. Stay in action, faith, and possibility. Walk in and protect your light. Your purpose will find you. Say what you mean and live like you mean what you say.